There's a satisfactory image that was released on Monday night. Not by the Pentagon, not by the State Department, not by any American military institution, but by Iranian state media. The image shows a crater where there used to be a radar installation, twisted metal where there used to be antenna arrays, smoke rising from what was 72 hours ago. One of the most advanced missile defense systems ever constructed by human beings. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more deep geopolitical breakdowns. The system cost $1, $1 billion. The drone that destroyed it cost $20,000. And the strategic implications of that cost ratio are so devastating to American military planning that no one in Washington wants to talk about it. Because if they talk about it, they have to answer a question that the entire American defense establishment has spent 40 years avoiding. What happens when the shield breaks? The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced on Tuesday that it has destroyed a second American, the missile defense system in the Gulf region. The first THAAD radar was eliminated in the UAE at Al-Rais. The second was struck at a military installation in the same country. But the crown jewel of American missile defense in the Middle East, the system that was supposed to be untouchable, the system that justifies hundreds of billions of dollars in defense contracts and military deployments, was the ANFPS 132 early warning radar stationed in Qatar. That radar had a detection range of 5,000 kilometers. It could track ballistic missiles from the moment they launched anywhere in Iran and provide targeting data to every American and allied defense system in the region. It was the eyes of the entire Gulf defense architecture. And according to Iranian military officials, it was destroyed by a single Shahed drone that cost less than a new car. The IRGC statement claimed that precision strikes dismantled key radar and tracking components of the architecture across multiple Gulf states, including systems in the UAE and radars tied to U.S. bases in Bahrain and Qatar. The Pentagon has not confirmed the destruction. The Pentagon has not denied the destruction. The Pentagon has issued no statement whatsoever about the status of its most critical missile defense assets in the Middle East. And that silence tells you everything you need to know about whether the Iranian claims are accurate. Here's the number that explains why this matters more than any other development in this war. There are 9 active THAAD batteries in the entire world. 9, not 900, not 90. 9 complete systems, each consisting of 95 soldiers, 6 truck-mounted launchers, 48 interceptors, 1 radar system, and a fire control component. The United States military, the most expensive fighting force in human history, has 9 of these systems to defend against ballistic missile threats across the entire planet. And according to Iranian claims that the Pentagon refuses to address, 2 of them are now destroyed, their radar components reduced to craters in the desert. The math gets worse when you look at the interceptors themselves. Each THAAD interceptor costs $12.77 million. A THAAD battery carries 48 interceptors, which means the ammunition alone for a single battery costs over $600 million. During the 1-2-day war between Israel and Iran in June 2025, the United States fired more than 150 THAAD interceptors defending against Iranian missiles. That single engagement consumed approximately 25% of America's entire global THAAD interceptor stockpile. 1/4 of all the interceptors America had anywhere in the world gone in 12 days. And Lockheed Martin, the manufacturer of these systems, produces only 96 interceptors per year under current production capacity. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stood before Congress on Monday and said words that should terrify every American who understands what they mean. He said Iran is producing, by some estimates, over 100 ballistic missiles per month. 100 missiles per month. Compare that to the 96 THAAD interceptors America produces per year. Iran builds more missiles in 30 days than America builds interceptors in 365 days. That is not a gap that closes with time. That is a gap that widens every single month this war continues. Rubio admitted this on national television. He said, and I am quoting directly, they are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be produced, 6 or 7 interceptors against 100 missiles. Secretary of State just told Congress that America is losing the production war by a factor of 15 to 1, and nobody in the room seemed to understand what that means for the sustainability of American military operations in the Middle East. Lockheed Martin announced in January that it will quadruple THAAD production over the next 7 years, eventually reaching 400 interceptors per year. 7 years. The war has been going on for 5 days. Iran has already demonstrated the capability to destroy the radar systems that make THAAD functional. And America's plan is to fix the production problem in 7 years, while Iran produces 200 missiles in the same time frame. The 0-year life cycle cost for a complete THAAD battery ranges from $2 to $3 billion, including operations, sustainment, and interceptor replenishment. $2 to $3 billion per battery, 9 batteries worldwide. And Iran just demonstrated that a $20,000 drone can render that multi-billion-dollar investment into a smoking crater. This is the asymmetric warfare calculation that American defense planners have been dreading for decades. It is not about whether American systems are technologically superior. They are technologically superior. THAAD intercepts ballistic missiles during their final descent using a hit-to-kill method, smashing into incoming warheads at extreme speeds with a precision that no other country on Earth can match. The technology is extraordinary. The technology is irrelevant if you run out of interceptors before your enemy runs out of missiles. Defense analysts tracking the conflict have issued warnings that interceptor stocks across the U.S., Israel, and Gulf states are now dangerously low. The term they are using is strategic breaking point. Not concerning levels, not reduced capacity, strategic breaking point. The point at which the defensive architecture that has protected American interests in the Middle East for 3 decades simply ceases to function because there is nothing left to fire. U.S. officials fear that missile interceptor shortage could force a premature end to the war with Iran. That assessment, published by defense analysts on Monday, describes the strategic reality that the Pentagon cannot publicly acknowledge. America may be forced to stop fighting not because Iran defeats American forces in combat, but because America runs out of the defensive systems required to protect its forces and allies from Iranian retaliation. Consider what Iran has accomplished in 5 days of retaliation. Iranian missiles and drones have struck American military facilities in Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. Iranian strikes have hit the U.S. Embassy compound in Riyadh. Iranian attacks have forced the closure of American diplomatic facilities in 2 Gulf countries. Iranian weapons have killed 6 American service members in a fortified command center in Kuwait. And Iranian precision strikes have, according to IRGC claims, destroyed multiple components of the most advanced missile defense architecture America has ever deployed. The production numbers tell the story of what happens next. Iran produces 100 missiles per month. America produces 96 THAAD interceptors per year. Iran can sustain this pace of operations indefinitely. America cannot. The interceptor stocks that remain in the Gulf are being depleted faster than they can be replaced. And every day this war continues, the imbalance grows more severe. Here is what the destruction of America's radar systems means in practical terms. THAAD does not function without its radar. The radar detects incoming missiles, tracks their trajectory, calculates intercept solutions, and guides the interceptors to their targets. Without the radar, the launchers are useless. Without the radar, the interceptors sit in their tubes, while missiles fly overhead unimpeded. Iran did not need to destroy every launcher, every interceptor, every component of the THAAD architecture. Iran needed to destroy the radar. And the system becomes a billion-dollar collection of military equipment that cannot protect anything. The AN/FPS-132 early warning radar in Qatar was not just a component of Gulf defense. It was the foundational sensor for ballistic missile tracking across the entire Middle East theater. Its 5,000 kilometers detection range meant that American forces could see Iranian missile launches within seconds of ignition and begin calculating intercept solutions before the missiles crossed Iranian airspace. With that radar destroyed, the early warning architecture that enables effective missile defense is compromised in ways the Pentagon has not publicly acknowledged. And here is the detail that makes this story even more devastating for American strategic planning. Lockheed Martin says it will take 2 to 3 years to replenish interceptor stocks, even under the accelerated production schedule. 2 to 3 years. The war is in its 5th day. Trump says it will last 4 to 5 weeks. And the defensive systems required to sustain operations over that timeline are already depleted to levels that defense officials describe as dangerously low. The cost comparison makes the strategic implications clear. Iran fires a Shahed drone that costs $20,000. That drone destroys a radar system that costs $1.1 billion. The exchange ratio is 55,000 to 1 in Iran's favor. Iran fires a ballistic missile that costs perhaps $500,000. America fires a THAAD interceptor that costs $12, $7 million. The exchange ratio is 25 to 1 in Iran's favor. Multiply those ratios across hundreds of drones, hundreds of missiles, dozens of successful strikes, and you begin to understand why Rubio stood before Congress and admitted that Iran's production capacity exceeds America's by an order of magnitude. The question nobody in Washington wants to answer is simple. What happens when the interceptors run out? What happens when the radar systems are destroyed and cannot be replaced? What happens when the shield that has protected American forces in the Middle East for 30 years simply ceases to exist because Iran has demonstrated the capability to destroy it faster than America can rebuild it? The Iranian strategy is not to defeat American forces in direct combat. Iran cannot defeat American forces in direct combat. The strategy is to exhaust American defensive capacity, to deplete the interceptor stocks, to destroy the radar systems, to make the cost of continued operations so astronomically high that America is forced to choose between withdrawal and fighting without a shield. 6 American soldiers died in Kuwait because an Iranian weapon penetrated a fortified command center. They died because somewhere in the defensive architecture, something failed. They died because the systems designed to protect them either could not detect the incoming threat, could not intercept it, or were not available to try. And as the interceptor stocks deplete, as the radar systems are destroyed, as the production gap widens month after month, more American service members will face the same vulnerability. The IRGC statement on Tuesday was not just a claim of military success. It was a statement of strategic doctrine. Iran is telling America that the shield is broken. Iran is telling America that the billion-dollar systems designed to make American forces untouchable are touchable, destroyable, eliminatable. Iran is telling America that the asymmetric cost structure of this war favors the country that produces 100 missiles per month over the country that produces 96 interceptors per year. 2 THAAD radars destroyed if the Iranian claims are accurate. The AN/FPS 132 early warning system in Qatar destroyed. Interceptor stocks at dangerously low levels. Production capacity unable to match consumption. And the Secretary of State admitting on national television that Iran is outproducing America by 15 to 1. The shield is breaking. The Pentagon knows it. Rubio admitted it. The defense analysts are publishing warnings about it. And the war is only 5 days old. Share this video to everyone you know. Iran has destroyed billions of dollars in American missile defense systems. The interceptors are running out. The radars are burning. And America's plan to fix the production problem takes 7 years. The war Trump says will last 5 weeks is being fought with a shield that may not last 5 more days. Make sure everyone understands what that means before the next Iranian missile launch arrives at a base with nothing left to stop.